Ian, it is your favorite time of the week, buddy.
Let's do it.
This week I'm feeling a little bit inspired. We're going to take a break from some golf dad jokes here. We're going to move to some dad jokes inspired by Patrick Cantley's wedding, whose ceremony was apparently reported to be so slow that the bride in the following ceremony hit into them. So I'm kidding, of course, but the ceremony actually was put on the clock because the Matty Ice Luge was melting. Yeah.
I like it.
Did I get a little bit out of that?
You did. That was good.
Anyway.
That was good.
The dad joke of the week brought to you by Golf Trip Junkie. Now, everyone knows we just talked about the Ryder Cup, and as you listeners know, I do my own Ryder Cup event every year. I am actually using Sean to put together my shootout of 2024 next year, and he's really the only person as we move into other locations that are outside of my realm that I trust to actually get things done. So make sure you check out Sean. You can find him on our link tree under Book Your Next Golf Trip. So, Ian.
Yes.
I don't really have a question for you today. This is more of a pun.
Okay.
2 antennas met, fell in love, and eventually got married. The wedding wasn't much, but the reception was excellent.
That's good. I like that. That's a good dad. That's a solid dad joke. It's a solid dad joke. It's not, blow your socks off, but it's solid 6.3.
6.3. Okay. Yeah. Well, we have some ratings later that we're going to get to. Which that might be the favorite thing that Hambino's ever actually done on this episode. But first things first, we are going to get to a draft here of the top 3 guys. Ian and I are going to draft of who we would like in a parking lot brawl. Now, this is inspired by Mr. McIlroy, who was seen to. My impression of that video is like, I guarantee you somebody said something to Rory as he was walking out of the building. Mm-hmm. Shane Lowery escorted him. Bones was around, and Bones was trying to calm him down. Right. And Rory was just so heated because I've never met anybody that has a bad word to say about Bones.
I don't think it was a Bones thing. There was one angle where they showed Bones, and I think I agree. Something was said. Something was said off camera. No, I think something was said off camera, and then my guess is Rory retaliated to whatever was said, and Bones was probably not defending LaCava, but hey man, just get in your car. And Rory's like, I don't know what happened, but by the way, someone has to have a better audio of that. But anyway, look, Rory's not winning many fights. He's yoked, but he's also 5'7". So let's just be honest.
Well, he's not winning many fights, but with that behavior, are we sure he's European? Because he kind of reminded me of a little league baseball coach being thrown out of his local Applebee's.
That's
with
true.
That.
You know how I know. You know why you don't pick Rory in a fight, and I love the guy, but you don't want to be betting on a guy in a fight that always finishes second, because you can only finish first in a fight, and you can finish anything other than that. So my boy Rory, he's gonna come up short, unfortunately.
Did you hear Zinger call him out at one point on Sunday?
No.
He said
I was toggling back and forth on the NFL game because the USA was hard to watch. But yeah, what did he say?
He said something like, if Rory could putt like he does at the Ryder Cup on majors, he might be the best player of all time.
It's true. How many majors has Rory lost because he just was a crappy putter on Sunday? And it's at least 3 or 4. That's probably nice. You could argue maybe 6. But anyway,
it's almost like he instead of in majors, he putts not to miss, and in Ryder Cups he putts to make putts.
Right,
and
of course.
It's that mindset that just changed makes him unstoppable.
I think that's a legit, as a guy who's not a great putter, I do agree with that mindset. If I know I have a 7-footer and my opponent's in, I don't care if that putt goes 5 feet past. And as a poor putter, which he is too, obviously I'm way worse than Rory is at putting. I don't want a 5-footer coming back. I'd like the last thing I want to see is a 8-footer go 5 foot past because your boy's gonna be rattled, and I can't come back from that. So I assume Rory is like that, but just less of an extent.
So let's do this. It's top 3. I'm gonna go ahead and give you the first pick because this was my idea, and so I had some.
All right.
So who's the number 1 pick for Ian Hamilton? Let's set the stage. So this has to be like you are in something that you probably don't want to be a part of, right? Like we've all been there. It's late. You're leaving the bar. You're getting dragged into something. Obviously Ian and I didn't start anything, right? You're kind of being dragged into something you don't. Who is on the PGA Tour? Who are the 3 guys that you would like to basically come take control of the situation? Be the guy that's like either he's going to knock a guy out or like somebody's like, okay, this guy's here, right? Like I'm just going to go home kind of a thing.
And just because you said it, and I just need to clarify, this is only PGA Tour players?
I think this is all golfers.
Okay, good, because you said PGA Tour players, and it threw me off because I would have knocked like half of my list out.
Let's go all golfers.
You know who I'm going with. I mean, come on. We are cut from the same cloth. We represent the same university. The guy doesn't give a crap about anybody in the PGA or in the media or anything. I'm going with Brooks 1.1. That's the first pick. Come on, there's no other first pick that you even consider.
That's not a bad one. I think
it was not a consensus number 1. I didn't even take his guy. So who's your 2-3 then?
You didn't take my guy. So I think this comes down to the conversation of like, do I want somebody who's like yoked gym dude that's like, yo, I'm big, or do I want somebody who's like born in the cloth, like is about that parking lot life, leaving a bar late at night, maybe a Hooters, might have to sort somebody out.
Koepka. There's nothing you've said that's not Brooks Koepka so far.
I'm going to go with the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. JD John Daly as my number 1 pick.
It's fair. I don't think I'd take him right now, but
man,
it's a shout.
Man in his prime.
But that's what I'm not getting in. When John Day was in his prime, I wasn't even born yet. So, like I get in a fight with, well, I'm not even going to go down this road because this is the father podcast. So anyway.
But, so are we snaking this thing?
Yeah, you get the next pick.
So my next pick, I'm going to go a little bit more contemporary, along your lines. I'm actually going to go with Jon Rahm.
Yeah, he was my 2 pick. He was my 2 pick.
Because Jon Rahm has... Now, I don't actually think Jon Rahm's the dude that doesn't actually have to throw a punch, right? Like, Jon Rahm's the guy that you're, like, jawing at somebody in the parking lot. He comes up and stands behind you, and he's like, yo, dude, do we have an issue?
Sure.
At 250, at 6'4", massive beard.
Yep.
Like, yeah, no,
he was my number 2 pick. He was number 2 ADP, no question. So I have no problems with that. That's an absolute genius pick. You're correct. If Jon Rahm walks up to you, nah, you're right. Good. You know what? Don't worry about it. I'm sorry I bumped into you. So I'm going to go with a guy who every time they cut to him on camera, I legit think he would F me up. Like when you came up with this idea, I'm like, and I knew I didn't have to go with him first because I knew you wouldn't think about this player. But I am not kidding. Look at me. I'm looking at y'all in the eyes right now. Every time I see this man, I'm like, that guy would mess me up. It is Gary Woodland. That boy would mess you up. You do not want to fight Gary Woodland. So I got Brooks Koepka and Gary Woodland. Not only are they going to mess you up, they're going to mess you up at the U.S. Open too. That's that boy. He's a dog. Gary Woodland is a dog.
He was on my list for the same reason Jon Rahm was on my list of like that's a dude. He's
a
massive.
fight ender.
which, by the way, get better, Gary. Again, he's had that reoccurring brain tumor thing and surgery. So, definitely thoughts with him and his family. But yeah, wouldn't be a guy that I would run into.
No, not at all.
So this is a snake, so you get the last pick here. Who are we going with?
I know. You know who So I went with 2 alphas, right? The guy I'm going to go with next is not an alpha, but he's the guy who's going to get us in the fight, and I expect him to scrap out of it.
If you say Patrick Reed, I'm hanging up
this whole podcast. Patrick Reed couldn't even put one swing in without having an asthma attack.
But he'll get you into a fight.
No, he would. This guy, I think, my guess is back in the day, he probably scrapped a little bit because, man, this guy is so hot-tempered and he just screams scrappy. And we just watched him at the Ryder Cup. I'm going to give you one guess who you think I'm talking about.
It's not Victor Hovland.
No, hell no. That guy wouldn't fight a fly. Tyrrell Hatton is the guy who's going to get us in the fight, and he's going to scrap his way out of it. Probably not the best pick I could have made. I had a couple other guys on my list that I think I would have felt more comfortable if my life was on the line. I just think Tyrrell Hatton's the guy who's going to pop off and get us in the fight, so I got to go with him.
I think Shane Lowery's a better pick.
I had Shane Lowery as my number 3.
What your
number 3 overall pick? Look, I can't show you guys because it's written down on a not piece of paper. Shane Lowery was my number 3 pick, but the fact that I got my top 2, I was like, okay, well, I'll just go with Tyrrell Hatton.
Well, you didn't get your top 2 because I got Jon Rahm.
Well, so, I mean, everyone knew you were going to take Jon Rahm, so come on.
So much like you're talking about, you have the 2 guys that are going to get you out of the fight, and you have the guy that's going to get you into the fight. I'm going to go with, I got 2 guys that, let's be honest, John Daly, even out of his prime, that dude can rumble, right? Jon Rahm is the big guy you don't want to screw with, but there is one guy on the PGA Tour that we know can take a hit, and he comes from above the border in the great country of Canada.
Oh my God.
I am going with Adam Hadwin.
Of course you are.
Because he's got some hockey background to him. We know that he's gotten tackled on live TV.
And he played the next week.
He popped up and laughed it off, right? When you're talking about the guy that you want fighting, there's 2 components to that. Yeah, you want the guy that can throw a punch, but you certainly want the guy that can take one. And I'm going to go with Adam Hadwin as my 3rd pick.
I need you to write this down on your 2-page sheet. I need that posted as a poll because this is my lock that I'm going to finally get off the schneid and get Team Bucket on the board. Because if I lose this one, y'all have serious problems because my guys would mess up Tucker's guys. They would. I cannot believe you went with Hadwin. That was a shoe-in for me. Shout out of the year, by the way, to Adam Hadwin's wife. Her tweet after saying he probably got up and apologized to the guy. That's great. Elite content. Just want to give a couple shout outs to the guys that we did not name that I had on my list. You already mentioned one, Shane Lowery. I put in Bryson. I just don't like Bryson, so I don't want him, even if he is yoked. I threw out for some old man strength. I was wondering, I was going to kind of take your lead if you went this way. I went with Lee Westwood. He's kind of a unit, Lee Westwood. So I just kind of feel like he'd mess you up.
What do you mean take my lead? I picked John Daly as my first pick. You didn't
pitch it. You didn't pitch it as old man strength. You just pitched it as he could brawl back in the day. That's not old man strength. If you're an older guy, you know what I'm talking about. It's like that old man dad strength. That's Lee Westwood personified. Look at that man. Yeah. And when he wears shorts, I mean, that's a tank, man. You don't want to mess with Lee Westwood.
Can I throw in 2 real quick too on top of that? Because I had Bryson too.
Yep.
I got into this country redneck theme because I was actually thinking John Daly, Brooks Koepka, and I was going to throw Sam Burns into that because just mullet boys.
That's a shout, by the way. Sam Burns is a shout. That's old. That's country strength. That guy probably wrestles pigs in his free time.
But that's what I'm talking about. I think you put those Those three together.
That's a mistake.
Team Panhandle.
That is an overlook. That absolutely, I cannot believe I did not pick Sam Burns.
And then I'm gonna throw in for the same reason Gary Woodland, Cam Young. I mean,
yeah.
It's like baseball player, dude. Like just
Sam Burns has no business not making this list. That's total mistake by the Dag Golf Podcast. It's honestly embarrassing that he was not mentioned.
I just want to throw. So here's the thing, Ian. You're probably right. If we put our three against each other, I think your three obviously
you have to do that. You have to do that.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm going to put it on a poll, but I'm going to tell you how the results are going to work. Because your three could definitely wax my three. But people love John Daly. So when they see John Daly as a part of the team, they're going to be like, no, I gotta take. He's going to be 3 packs of cigarettes deep, 12 Diet Cokes, like a case of Busch Light, rolling out to the parking lot with another heater in hand, going like, "What you boys talking about?"
Who's the guy? Who's the European version of John Daly? I'm drawing a blank on his name. Miguel something. Jimenez.
Oh,
is that who? Like the guy who smokes cigars.
Jimenez is yeah. I mean, but he's a class act. I would actually say probably the closest thing the Europeans have had to John Daly is probably Shane Lowery. He's the dude that you're gonna find in the pub. Like he's Darren, 8 Guinnesses deep.
I feel like that's Darren Clark. I think that's Darren.
Darren Clark's in that mix too.
He is an alcoholic.
Darren Clark's got but also old man strength.
That's a good point. He's just a little past Lee Westwood's prime, but yes, I feel like Lee Westwood's entering peak old man strength mode right now. But yeah, but there's some good ones. We could have really gone like 10 deep if we could have built a whole Ryder Cup roster if we really wanted to. But I like that. That was fun. That was good.
I was literally just thinking of like if you went Brooks, Gary Woodland, Terrell Hatton, JD, John Rahm, Adam Hadwin, Sam Burns, Cam Young, Bryson DeChambeau. Who were your other ones? The
Lee
ones your OLIs? Lee Westwood. We actually have like a Ryder Cup team that would probably beat our Ryder Cup, the U.S. Ryder Cup team this time around.
Yeah, we probably do.
Because those dudes are dogs. Like every single person on the list that we just mentioned is a dog. Like.
I wonder if you put him in a Royal Rumble. I'm pretty confident Sam. Now that we think about it, Sam Burns or Gary Woodland, when healthy, would probably be your final two in a just round Rumble thing, like a wrestling match.
I think this is what I think we should do. We should do a 3 for here of you, me versus we're just idiots. Your team, my team, and then Sam Burns. Gary Woodland, Gary Woodland, because you picked Gary Woodland. Sam Burns, Shane Lowery,
and Cam Young.
Or Cam Young's fine. Sam Burns, Cam Young, and
Lowry's fine.
Who were we just talking about? Not Gary Woodland.
Lee Westwood. Yeah, we could,
because those 3 guys might be, might beat the 3 guys that we picked.
Yeah, well, I mean, in that scenario, I wouldn't have picked Terrell Hatton, but yes, I agree.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Well, we're going to go to an ad break for another partner of ours, and we will be right back after